I'm Jackie Gordon, and I want to welcome you to Neighborhood Beats continuing series on BoCoCa, Gorham Hill, Cobble Hill, and Carroll Gardens. In this show, we talk to those who remember the old neighborhood and revel in the new neighborhood. Sahadis has been in this neighborhood all my life. I grew up here, and we're going to go inside and see Charlie Sahadi, whose family started this business in 1948. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, Jackie, how are you?
Good.
How's everything?
I'm doing good. You can't do a segment on BoCoCa without talking to you.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. How you
Well, I
doing?
grew up here, so.
How's the show doing?
The show's doing good.
Glad to hear that.
Good. Sahadis is like a neighborhood, it's like the institution. Even when the dark days of Gorham Hill in the neighborhood, it's always good food you can get at Sahadis.
Well, since we've been here for 56 years now, I think we're finally getting it right. The practice years are over, and we're really getting into knowing what we're doing.
I think you always knew what you were doing.
Thank you. We try. We really try to please, and that's how we stay in business.
So this is my house in Gorham Hill, and it's a street where lots of kids grew up playing, and I grew up playing here too. And now we have a playground across the street, so all the kids in the neighborhoods play here, so it's nice and lively with the sound of children and dogs. And we'll go inside. So here we are in my childhood home in Gorham Hill, where I'm a singing chef, and I'm going to demonstrate both things for you simultaneously by doing a little singing, a little cooking, and telling you a little bit about what I do. So we're going to make a little dish. I am a singing chef, as I said, and I have a show called Say Cheese, a tongue-titillating tasting of artisanal cheeses, wines, and the songs they inspire that's running right now in the city.
When you're sad and down in the dumps, say cheese. Feeling bad, been getting your lumps, say cheese.
And in the show, people learn how to pair cheeses and wines, and they learn the history of cheese, and we give them a little program, and this is a recipe from one of the programs for fricos, which are little Parmesan wafers that we're going to eat with my delicious Ruby Sunsplash relish.
All cheese experts agree that cheeses made from raw, unpasteurized milk simply taste best.
Before you start cooking, a word to the wise, you'll get better results if you're just organized. Often new recipes can cause heartache, just read them carefully, avoid mistakes. Assemble ingredients gathered just right, keep your pots, pans, and plates so they're right at your side. We have grated Parmesan cheese. You can use Asiago or something very hard like a Parmesan. So this is a fairly hard Parmesan that I've grated kind of roughly. It's not really a fine grate because I like my Parmesan wafers to have a bit of texture. So we heat up the pan. So we're going to pick up the little piles of Parmesan cheese and put them in the frying pan and squish them down. We'll probably do 3 at a time so we don't crowd the pan too much. We get a little bit of room to move around in it. And we're going to put the cheese on the pan and wait for it to squish them down. And then as it starts to get a little melty, we're going to sprinkle a little bit of cayenne on it and then a little bit of black pepper because you're going to have enough salt from the Parmesan cheese, so you don't need to put any salt in it unless you really want to hurt your arteries. I suppose you could if you wanted to, but I'm not going to. And then we're going to wait for them to melt and get to have a nice little brown edge on it. So what I like about using the more roughly grated Parmesan is that you get a little bit of a frill on the outside, little edges. I suppose if you used really finely grated, you wouldn't get a lot of texture in it. So we give it a couple of minutes to melt and turn brown, and then we flip them over.
Legend has it that the first cheese was made by an Arab nomad crossing the desert. Thinking in terms of a refreshing beverage for later, he poured milk in his saddlebag and off he rode.
So what I do is I use food, music, and humor to educate people about food. Educate people about any sort of thing, but it's usually about food. Devalicious is kind of about preserving food culture and food history so that we don't lose our culture as Americans. So I do shows around soul food, or I'll do a show about cheese to educate people about the history of cheese and the culture of cheese, or the culture and history of soul food, or any other subject. And so what I'll do is I'll have a dinner or a tasting built around the subject, and I will write a script that's based on the history, try and make it funny, and then I come and sing songs in between while they're actually eating. So it's very multisensory.
How does the wine taste? Does it sting your lips? What is the fruit like just beyond my fingertips?
So then after you've drained them on paper towels, you wind up with really lovely crisp wafers that you can eat just as they are, or, as we're going to do, you can have relish on it. I've made this delicious Ruby Sunsplash relish, as I mentioned before, and so you put a little bit of that on each one. You put it to the side, it looks more groovy, because that's what I also do, is make food look groovy. That's more than delicious. It's delicious. And that wraps up this month's edition of Neighborhood Beat BoCoCa, Borum Hill, Cobble Hill, and Carroll Gardens. It's been my pleasure to share my neighborhood with you.
How does the wine taste? Does it sting your lips? What is the fruit like just beyond my fingertips? Just out of reach, I see so much I cannot taste and mustn't touch. Tied to my little world, my safe little world. What would it be like if I cut the string? Would it be like